It's the Michael Patrick Leahy Show, broadcasting live from downtown Nashville. And now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back. We are indeed broadcasting live from our studios in downtown Nashville, Tennessee. Well, 15 days until the election on November 5th. You know, it turns out to be a tale of two campaigns. One is filled with fun and joy, and the other is screechy and mean and nasty. Which is which? Well, the fun and joy is with Donald J. Trump. And, I mean, he had quite a campaign day yesterday, didn't he? Yes, indeed. He worked the fries and the drive-thru at McDonald's. It was a big hit. And then he went to the Steelers game. I guess he's a good luck charm for the Steelers because the Steelers just stomped the New York Jets 37-15. And Russell Wilson, you know, had been really a terrific Super Bowl winning quarterback with the Seattle Seahawks. Then actually had a tough stint, I think, about a couple years in Denver. It didn't go well at all. And then they traded him to Pittsburgh. He's in Pittsburgh now, been injured. And so Russell Wilson started off the first quarter, wasn't very good, but was very good in the second, third, and fourth quarters. And, you know, the Steelers just stomped the New York Jets. A tough day for Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. Having said that, Donald Trump was in the house. He was, I think, in the Rooney Suite, the owners of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the crowd went crazy when he was introduced. Here we go with clip 27, when Donald Trump is introduced to the crowd at the Steelers game last night. There you go. And a bunch of, there's Trump in the suite, you know, with his hands raised, going, yeah, USA. And lots of MAGA hats in the crowd. Now, an interesting sidelight to this, the NBC News, whenever Taylor Swift is in the building, they cut away to her all the time. Like the last game where they covered the Chiefs, they cut away to Taylor Swift like 7 times. Would you like to know how many times NBC News cut away to Donald Trump last night? Yeah, 1. Because according to NBC Sports, you know, Taylor Swift is 7 times more important than former President Trump. Okay, here's another interesting little element on the Steelers side. Remember Antonio Brown? He was a terrific wide receiver for the Steelers, and then he kind of got sideways with ownership. He played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for. I think was he on the Super Bowl winning team? I think he was. But then he kind of, I don't know what the right word is. He's had some issues, shall we say, behavioral issues. Remember Antonio Brown in the playoff loss, the last playoff loss of the Buccaneers. He got so angry that the ball wouldn't get thrown to him. He literally walked off the field, took his jersey off, walked bare-chested out of the stadium. Now, that's bizarre. Now, subsequently, Antonio Brown has claimed that he's suffering from CTE, too many hits to that brain. His behavior certainly is problematic. He's had, you know, bankruptcy. He just declared bankruptcy in May. But having said that, he's a big Trump supporter. Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, big Trump guys. And so they were out there speaking in favor of Donald Trump over the weekend. We got the Antonio Brown clip. I want to play that for you right now. Clip 5.
I'm honored to be here with the best fans in the world. Make some noise for the Steelers fans. But before I get too deep in my speech, I want to say, I know the media is going to call me crazy, me and Trump crazy for having me speaking here. But I want to make this clear. We are not. They are. You know Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, do you really know they want to put tampons in the boys' bathroom? Is that crazy?
Okay, now let me just stop for a moment. Yes, I mean Antonio Brown's right. What? I mean, Antonio Brown has been a bit of a train wreck, right, for the past couple of years. I do think, though. I mean, I think he does have some either physical or mental or emotional problems. But on the other hand, he might be crazy, but he makes a good point. Putting tampons in the boys' bathroom is crazier. So that's kind of interesting and fun, and you got a lot that can. Okay, we got more on Trump. I think people just can't get enough of Trump at McDonald's with the French fries. And here's a clip. We'll play clip 22. Donald Trump showing his expertise in French fries.
We're going to break in now because the former president, Donald Trump, has made his way here in Pennsylvania to a fryer at McDonald's. He's going to get back there and sling some French fries. Let's go ahead and listen in to who he's chatting with.
Hello, everybody. Inda's here. This is Inda. She has an apron for you.
Good job on the first day.
I think I should take
President Trump.
Should I take off my jacket? I think so. The press wants to see this. Oh, he's a wealthy guy.
So here's Trump taking off his blue coat jacket. He's got that blonde hair, red tie, white shirt, and he's putting on a McDonald's apron with the yellow. So I mean, he looks like a commercial. All right, but that's enough of that one. And by the way, Trump actually did a McDonald's commercial back in 2002. So just too much fun. All right, we've got another clip. Donald Trump and the French fries at McDonald's yesterday. Clip 23.
So how long did they stay in Germany?
Probably 3 minutes.
So you do the initial shake, you do a shake after that?
I'll shake. No, not really a shake. So the cool timer's going off. We're gonna hit the timer. We're gonna lift them up, hang them onto there, and then we're just gonna drain them. So we're gonna hold it here for around 10 seconds. The oil drain off them. We'll do these ones too. Put them up, drain them. Probably 10 seconds. And then we're done. We're gonna lift this, 2 hands, over, drop it in. And then we can put all of our old baskets right over here, right in your
Okay, so so there's Donald Trump. We got that clip. So there's Donald Trump. Just watching this kid. The kid, how old's the kid? Like 23, 24? He's got. Now, you know the way the kid is showing Trump how to do the fries. The kid has done this like 100 times with various employees that have come in, and apparently, actually, though, because of the heat, there's a little bit of danger involved. You don't want to get burned on it. But there's Trump. Now, the interesting thing about Trump is he's paying attention. All right, how do I do this? Right? Okay. So this is a guy who understands, you want to learn how to do things. And he's paying attention. And the kid is, Trump's, after he says, man, you're a really great instructor. You just got to love that. All right, let's go more with the fries. Clip. I can't get enough of these Trump fries things. Here we go. Clip 24.
Got about 10,000 people out there. That's a big crowd, huh?
Mr. Trump, why did you feel it was important to come here today?
I love McDonald's. I love jobs. I like to see good jobs. And I think it's inappropriate when somebody puts down all over the place that she worked at McDonald's. It was a big part of her resume that she worked at McDonald's, how tough a job it was. She specifically worked at the French fry, where they make the French fries, and she talked about the heat. It was so tough. She never worked at McDonald's. McDonald's just confirmed that again, by the way.
She never worked at McDonald's. What does Kamala Harris do to counter-program that? I mean, she can't go to work at a McDonald's, right? I mean, she could, but that would. Does she do a job? I mean, politicians do these, little bit jobs every now and then for promotion, but his crowd was huge there. Huge! We'll have more when we get back. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.
Hey there, this is Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of The Glock Store. As a proud sponsor of this show, you may have heard Michael Patrick Leahy mention us a few times over the past 4 years. But today, it's me on the radio telling you how pleased we are to be associated with Michael Patrick Leahy and his dedication to the highest levels of professional journalism. Michael Patrick Leahy has been threatened with jail time in bringing the true facts about that Nashville Covenant shooting to his listening audience. Michael Patrick Leahy, you keep doing what you're doing, and we here at the Glock Store will keep sponsoring your show for the good of Nashville and the entire country. And I'm personally inviting all of your listeners to come visit and shoot at the Glock Store. It's where Michael Patrick Leahy learned to shoot a gun for the first time and where he bought his own personal Glock 19. I'm Lenny McGill, founder and CEO of the Glock Store here in Nashville, just minutes from the airports, worth the drive from anywhere, and a proud sponsor of Michael Patrick Leahy and the Tennessee Star Report.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
Welcome back. Well, 15 days until the November 5th election, and it is a tale of two campaigns. Joy and fun on one side, cringe and recrimination on another side. And, of course, the joy is with Donald J. Trump. And the cringe and recrimination is with Kamala Harris. Mark Halperin, who is an independent journalist, used to be with ABC, used to be with NBC, now has been independent, has his analysis of the Kamala Harris campaign and their messaging. We're going to play that right now in clip 8.
So, a few more videos to look at. She did a pull aside with Peter Alexander of NBC. I'm not really sure what the circumstances of it were. I never understand why these campaigns do these pull asides, because the candidates just don't look all that presidential. You just go look at all the pull asides in American presidential campaign history. They tend not to be that good for the candidate. I don't know why, but that's my subjective impression. So here is Kamala Harris, Peter Alexander of NBC, asking her for the 19th time she's been asked, how would you differ from Joe Biden? Number 3, please.
This week, President Biden said this week that every president has to cut their own path. What is one policy that you would have done differently over these last 3.5 years than President Biden?
I mean, to be very candid with you, even including Mike Pence, vice presidents are not critical of their presidents. I think that really actually, in terms of the tradition of it and also just going forward, it does not make for a productive and important relationship.
He's now given you that green light with his comments that you can carve your own path. So now that you have this ability to say that to be on your own?
Well, no, going forward, there is no question that I bring my own experiences and my own life experiences and
Is there
career.
a policy that stands out to you in particular, either?
Sure. I mean, my approach to what we need to do around Medicare covering home health care, born out of my experience of taking care of my mother. My priority on housing, one, because I know what it means, affordable housing and the ability to buy a home. Again, my own experience, my mother saved up, and not until I was a teenager was she able to do it. But also I know that for so many young people who I speak with around our country, the American dream is just really out of reach. So my policy about $25,000 down payment assistance to help them get their foot in the door. The work that I have been doing and will bring to the presidency around emphasizing small businesses as being part of the real backbone of America's economy. Those are the experiences and the ideas that I have that are about moving forward and really in being a part of the next generation of leadership in America.
Last one, I know I got.
So I believe the last time she was asked with Brett, and you recall that what she said with Brett was, my presidency would not be a continuation of Joe Biden's. A pretty strong rhetorical break, no specifics, but a pretty strong rhetorical break. And I wondered after she said that, was that going to now be her refrain? Or maybe would she build on that? And the next time she'd say, my presidency wouldn't be a continuity. For instance, here's what I would do differently specifically. We all know that, at least intuitively, and based on qualitative research, that there are some undecided voters who would like to understand how she'd be different. I think that answer is pretty horrendous. That's my view of that answer. Back to, we wouldn't really be that different. And then, a laundry list of her experiences and kind of implicit implication that her experiences would make it different and therefore better, but no specifics.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So, redoing Biden, not such a good plan. And that's basically what she said. Mark Halperin is no conservative, but I think he's correct in this. Well, we've got redoing, we've got recrimination, and then we've got cringe. Now, part of the message is if you're a male and you vote for Kamala, your social life is not going to be very good. And I could be a little bit more explicit in that, but I won't. This is a commercial that they're running designed to deliver that message to male voters. Here we go, clip 7.
Hello, ladies. I'm Trey. It's good to be here.
Hey, Trey.
Hey, hey.
So, what do you do and how much do you make?
I work in finance, making 6 figures.
How tall are you?
6'5".
Okay. Do you work out?
I like to stay active, yeah.
Do you have a plan to vote?
I didn't plan on it.
Okay, so that's a Kamala Harris commercial. It's obvious, you're going before the Karens there. And, if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, you're not going to have an active social life. How about I put it that way, right? I could be a little bit cruder, but this is a family show, so we won't be crude. Now, meanwhile, Donald Trump's critique of Kamala Harris is landing. And so here's the clip I want to play for Trump on the Biden coup, clip 16.
Like you missed Joe Biden. No, I think Joe Biden was, I'm not a fan of Joe Biden. And I think he might have done better than her. I mean, if you take a look at the polls now, I can't tell you exactly, but it looks like I'm winning and winning pretty easily, but we'll see. You have to get out the vote. But no, I think what they did to Joe Biden was a threat to democracy, to use their term. He had 14 million votes. They went into his office. He had a debate with me. He didn't do well. His poll numbers went down. And that's okay. That can happen. And they went in and they said, you're not running anymore. We're taking it away from you. They took away the presidency of the United States. I don't even like using the word coup because a lot of people don't exactly understand what a coup is. They took away.
But nobody
they told
ran
him,
against the vice president.
Excuse me. They took away the presidency and they handed it to. Well, nobody ran because the whole establishment did it. It did it as a whole. The Democrat Party did. When you saw that, you've never seen anything like that. He won the. She was in the primary. She was one of like 22 people. There were a lot of people.
Last time, yeah.
She was the first one to
drop out.
Get out because she did so badly. All of a sudden, she's running. So I'm not saying from my standpoint. I'm saying from his standpoint.
Yeah. Okay. This is the whole point. Threat to democracy. That's the other message. The message coming from Kamala Harris is Donald Trump and all the regime media. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, right? Well, you saw him working the fries at McDonald's. Does that guy seem like a threat to democracy to you? You saw him working the drive-through, giving away, film the orders of people that were driving through. Does that guy look like a threat to democracy? You saw him at the Pittsburgh Steelers game, leading chants of USA, USA, USA. Does that guy look like a threat to democracy? Let me contrast that with what's going on with Kamala Harris and the Biden-Harris administration. Do they look like a threat to democracy when, first they deprive 14 million primary voters of the guy they voted for? That looks like a threat. And Kamala Harris, by the way, has she done a press conference yet? The answer to that question would be no. Why has she not done a press conference yet? Because she is bereft. How about that word? She is bereft of policy knowledge. And that void would easily be apparent to anybody who watches a press conference. She's not going to do a press conference between now and Election Day because she can't. So the whole thing is changing right now. The whole idea that it's Donald Trump who's a threat to democracy, who believes that? I don't believe it. Do you believe it? I don't think you do. And Kamala Harris, they're just going through the motions. And then the other motion that they're saying, which is, beyond irritating, is they're calling Donald Trump unstable, weak, and exhausted. Okay. Does that look like an exhausted guy, Donald Trump? I mean, he works the shift longer than Kamala Harris did at McDonald's. She, did zero work at McDonald's. Then he held actually a 1-hour town hall in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And then he went to the Steelers game and was there at the Steelers game. That's a pretty heavy schedule. What's her schedule? She went to a Baptist church in Atlanta, Georgia, and that was it. So he's outworking her, and he is delivering a hopeful, positive, joyful message. What is she doing? Well, she's running commercials that's saying, gentlemen, if you don't vote for me, the ladies are going to make sure that you don't have a lot of personal social success. How about that? I could be a little cruder, but I'm not going to. All right. When we come back, Tom Pappert has a breaking story, more details about the illegal incarceration of Stephen K. Bannon. Back with Tom Pappert after this.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. We have a breaking story. It's a lead story at the Tennessee Star right now. We've got the goods here on this. It's very important. The Biden-Harris administration has illegally imprisoned Steve Bannon for more than a week and possibly a month. Let me repeat that. The Biden-Harris administration has illegally imprisoned Steve Bannon for more than a week, possibly a month. To provide the details on this, we are joined now by our lead reporter at the Tennessee Star and the Star News Network, Mr. Tom Pappard. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you for having me, Michael.
Now, this is a stunning headline, but I've looked at the details on your report, Tom, and I think you got the goods here. Explain to our listeners why or how the Biden-Harris administration is illegally imprisoning Steve Bannon as we speak today.
Well, Michael, this all goes back to the First Step Act of 2018. This is, of course, the landmark historic criminal justice reform put forward by former President Donald Trump. And if you remember, it was a massive bipartisan effort. I mean, you had Hakeem Jeffries. He's now the minority leader in the House for the Democrats. He was part of it. He also, President Trump, had Kim Kardashian come to the White House in favor of the First Step Act. So it was a very big deal that Democrats were a big fan of. And as part of the First Step Act, it was passed, it was implemented. It's now fully in power. As part of the First Step Act, federal inmates are supposed to be evaluated right after they enter the Bureau of Prison system, their prison, in other words. They're supposed to be evaluated using something called the pattern tool to determine the length of their sentence and the venue of their sentence. This is after the judge has already banged the gavel, by the way. This is what President Trump did. He allowed a first steps after you are incarcerated to help get you back into the world. Now, it seems Steve Bannon did not receive this pattern evaluation whatsoever. And as evidence of this, we see his sentence lasting the full 4 months. You see, the other thing about the First Step Act, Michael, you could receive up to 54 days off your sentence every year for simple good behavior. Now, you could receive an additional 15 days off your sentence per 30 days spent in a prison recidivism program, which every prison in America now has thanks to the First Step Act, or at least they're supposed to. But Steve Bannon has had 0 days shaved off his sentence, not even the equivalent from the 54 days that he should have ostensibly received. He has not received a single day for participating in a prison recidivism program. And on Friday, he told us via a statement to the press, via the National Pulse, that the Biden-Harris regime is not implementing the First Step Act in his case. This, to me, seems flagrantly illegal. I don't understand how you can pass a criminal justice reform and then say the guy who was in the White House as the chief strategist when it was being passed, well, he doesn't get to enjoy the benefits.
Yeah, it is absolutely illegal. It is, in my view, election interference by Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Merrick Garland, and the Bureau of Prisons. And as we know from talking with our friend Stuart Parks, who was unjustly incarcerated over the J6 events, the Bureau of Prisons really does not communicate any of the details about the First Step Act and when you're going to be released. And it's very, very unpleasant to deal with. I think they've tried to make this release of Stephen K. Bannon. It looks like to me they have blatantly violated their own regulations and violated their own the law for the purpose of keeping the most effective advocate of Donald J. Trump off of the campaign trail. Not only is that violating the First Step Act, in my view, it's also violating numerous election interference laws. Your thoughts on this, Tom Pappard?
I think that's right, and I think the Biden-Harris administration is trying to hide by the general incompetence that has characterized every government agency throughout their tenure, because in my research, I was reading the Bureau of Prisons has actually struggled not just with Steve Bannon, but under Kamala's regime, they have struggled to implement the First Step Act at all. And actually, just 3 weeks ago, I mean, not going to do much good for Steve Bannon now, is it? But just 3 weeks ago, they finally implemented some guidance, the first guidance under Biden-Harris, as to how to handle this. I think this is all very convenient for the Democrats, and I think it's almost perfect that they wait until Bannon is almost out of prison, and frankly, their administration is almost over, to acknowledge that maybe they should have been working a little bit faster to get this landmark. I mean, it was a huge criminal justice reform that I think everybody in the Republican Party should be proud we pulled off, but they're just now implementing it with less than a month before the election.
Yeah, and the other part about this, of course, Stephen K. Bannon was convicted of contempt of Congress. First time anybody's been convicted of that since Peter Navarro was convicted of it. And then before that, it was like 50 years ago, somebody was convicted on it. And it was a highly partisan effort by an unconstitutional select committee that had on it no Republicans there to advocate for Steve, no counsel there to advocate for Steve. And, the only Republicans on it were the turncoats, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger. That committee itself, its entire authenticity and legitimacy has been clearly challenged by the recent news that Liz Cheney communicated illegally and unethically with a witness who was already represented by another attorney. She's an attorney, by the way, in District of Columbia. And that witness then subsequently changed her testimony. Well, that sounds fair, doesn't it?
Well, not only did the witness change their testimony, my understanding is the witness also changed their legal counsel, essentially, to the group that Liz Cheney recommended. And I think it goes so much further than that, because there are, of course, the allegations that the Unselect Committee has deleted all of the evidence that they accrued. So you have an investigative body in the Congress deleting the evidence, and yet Bannon must go to prison and spend every last day of his 4-month sentence there in order for there to be justice.
So I think our follow-up is going to be to ask the Bureau of Prisons if they're going to follow the law and release Steve Bannon immediately, number one. Number two, I think Steve Bannon, so you'll be posing that question now, and I think you'll be asking members of Congress that we know, the Senate and the House, to act on this and communicate with the Bureau of Prisons. I know we did that with Stuart Parks, and the Bureau of Prisons kind of ignored it, we think, but he did ultimately get released early through all the crazy behind-the-scenes machinations that they never really tell you about. In this instance, however, I'd like to get your thoughts on it. I think Steve Bannon has a cause of action against the Bureau of Prisons, against Kamala Harris, against Joe Biden, and against Merrick Garland for, in essence, false imprisonment and denying of his civil rights, because he should have been released at the latest on October 11th and probably mid-September. Your thoughts on that, Tom Pappert?
I think you're correct, Michael, and I would go further. I hope to see, I mean, it's not a long amount of runway, but I hope to see in the days before the election, Steve Bannon can lead some sort of class action lawsuit against the Bureau of Prisons, because this, we know, is affecting other January 6 defendants. But I would wager a lot of money it's affecting just about anybody who the Biden regime, the Biden-Harris administration, doesn't want out of prison sooner. So in other words, if you are a transgender, Antifa, domestic terrorist, you probably get out in no time at all. But if you're Steve Bannon or Stuart Parks, enjoy your sentence.
Well, not only that, if you're Steve Bannon, if you're J6, and then a number of Black and Hispanic prisoners have had their rights denied because of the failure of Kamala Harris to and the Biden administration to properly implement the First Step Act. So I think your idea of a class action lawsuit led by Stephen K. Bannon, but with all of these former federal prisoners and current federal prisoners, I think that makes an awful lot of sense.
I think it should happen, and I think Steve Bannon would be the perfect. If you read his statement on Friday, you can read it, of course, at the Tennessee Star. What he said is, this is how come, this is a big part of the reason, at least, why Black and Hispanic voters are not turning out for Kamala Harris, because unfortunately, these communities tend to have more familiarity with the criminal justice system, and they know that it was Trump that pulled this off, and it was the Democrats, specifically the prosecutor, the queen of mass incarcerations, Kamala Harris, who is sitting on her hands and cackling while the people she claims to care about waste away.
Well, I appreciate all your great work on this, Tom. And now, look, I think there's a outside possibility that the pressure that we're putting on the Bureau of Prisons and the Biden administration, pointing out the illegal nature of Stephen K. Bannon's current imprisonment, I think, even though it's still just, he has 8 days until his official release date, I think the pressure that can be brought by our listeners, by members of Congress to free Steve Bannon, I think that could have an impact. Your thoughts, Tom Pappert?
I think there are really two possibilities here. One, you are correct, and we turn this into a hot potato situation. His sentence is almost up anyway. Maybe they let him out this Friday instead of waiting until next Wednesday. Now, the other possibility is that somebody in the White House or maybe the Naval Observatory gets wind of these articles and says, how dare they question my regime? Keep him in there as long as you can. In which case, I think we could see the Harris-Biden administration keep him in there until November 1st at the very latest.
Why do you say November 1st?
The government doesn't like to do releases on weekends. He's being released on October 29th. That's in the middle of the week. I believe November 1st is the following Monday. They could start playing games, Michael. That's how they... So, I would not be surprised.
Yeah, he went in on July the 1st. And 4 months would go to October 31st. His release date is scheduled for the 29th. The 29th is a Tuesday. The 31st is a Thursday. But what you're saying is... they could even wait until November 4th just because they've got the power, not the legitimacy, but the power to do so. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's exactly right. And they wouldn't be blamed. It would be tossed or written off as prison bureaucracy being slow. Anybody who has had a relative released from prison knows that their release date may not be the actual date.
Yeah, it always moves around. And you know, I saw this the October 29th release date has been out there. And many public reporting states October 29th, right? You've seen that in many outlets.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And so, but it is always a bit of a mystery as to whether or not, you know, somebody be released on a particular day. Look, is somebody in the Department of Justice and the Bureau of Prisons saying, here's what I think. Somebody's saying, let's keep this so-and-so who's our enemy, our political enemy, in prison as long as we possibly can.
I think that's accurate.
Even if it involves violation of the law. And I think that's what they're doing right now.
I think so, and I think that's been the pattern for this entire administration. And I think that's why, as Steve Bannon said on Friday, that they're struggling with certain groups, because these are groups that were loyal Democrat voters, but now they can see that the Democrats have higher priorities. And that
which
higher
is to keep their political
enemies
in prison and violate the law. Tom Pappert, great report. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Michael. Anytime.
All right. When we come back, a little more positivity, more from Elon Musk. Got to listen to this. Back after this.
my fellow Americans, my good friends, I've known them for a long time, at D.T. McCall & Sons have the deal of a lifetime for you, and nobody knows deals like I do. That much I can tell you. Nobody knows deals like I do. Nobody has seen anything like it. The lumber yards, they can hit you with hidden charges for up to $200 extra. They'll charge you for cords and hoses and haul-offs. Your money goes all over the place and out of the state, and most importantly, out of your pockets. How do they get away with that? I don't know how they do that, but on day one, if you buy from McCall's, we are going to stop the hidden charges as soon as you buy it. D.T. McCall & Sons has locations in Lebanon, Carthage, Lafayette, Cookeville, and Franklin, and they have been family-owned in Middle Tennessee for over 100 years. Head to one of their stores today or check them out at dtmccalls.com. You're going to love it, believe me.
Welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. Now, here's Michael Patrick Leahy.
And welcome back to the Michael Patrick Leahy Show. I want to talk about Elon Musk. This guy is something else. I mean, he's been compared to a modern-day Benjamin Franklin with the new kind of the refounding fathers, right? Refounding fathers, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, J.D. Vance. I think that's a pretty good description. He's a fun guy, and he's very bright. We want to play some clips. Clip number 10. Elon Musk.
I mean, I got a bunch of sort of nutty stories, you know. Some of them are, I guess, kind of funny. There's, you know, we had to do this. SpaceX had to do the study to see if Starship would hit a shark, and I'm like, it's a big ocean, you know. There's a lot of sharks. It's not impossible, but it's very unlikely. And said, well, you have to, you know, this is, I think, from National Marine Fisheries, one of the, you know, NIMF it's called. You know, they were like, well, you have to do the study on whether you can hit a shark. We're like, what? And then we said, okay, well, fine, we'll do the analysis. And then, well, can you give us the shark data? They're like, no, we can't give you the shark data. We're like, okay, well, then we're in a bit of a quandary. How do we solve this this shark probability issue? And they said, well, we could give it to our Western division, but we don't trust them. And I'm like, am I in a comedy sketch here? And then, like they're worried about the shark density data, like the people who hunt sharks for shark fins somehow getting their hands on this shark data. And so eventually, I think we got the data, and we could, you know, run the analysis to say, like, yeah, the sharks are going to be fine. But they wouldn't let us proceed with launch until we did this crazy shark data. And then we thought, okay, well, now we're done. And they said, but what about whales? I'm like, when you look at a picture of the Pacific, what percentage of the surface area of the Pacific do you see as whale? Because I look at a picture, I don't see any, it's like, you can't, where's a whale? And honestly, if the ship did hit a whale, it's like, honestly, that whale had it coming, because it's like the odds are so low. You know, it's like Final Destination, the whale edition. It's like fate had it in for that whale, you know. And so we have to do the whale analysis. And it's like, okay, yeah, the whales will be fine too, you know. It goes on. And then there's like, well, what if the rocket goes underwater, then explodes, and then the whales have hearing damage? Like, this is real. This is actually, and we're like, look, if we could make a rocket go underwater and be a submarine, that would be like a feat of physics we could not accomplish, okay? This is not how it works. So anyway, just one like crazy thing after another.
I think that's great. I'm liking Elon more and more. He's just a logical guy. I want to shift the clips a little bit. I want to go to clip 17 because he's got this thing he calls the Department of Government Efficiency. You see it on X, Doge, D-O-G-E. Well, I just $42 billion of waste done the Kamala Harris way. You got to listen to him. Clip 17.
So, yeah, and then there was like that crazy thing where SpaceX competed for the Rural Broadband Initiative, which, and by the way, I'm actually generally against subsidies and incentives. You know, like we should let taxpayers keep their money, is my opinion. But they had this like $42 billion thing, and we competed and we won, and we would have actually been able to supply a lot of Starlink terminals to the states that were affected by the hurricanes, and they revoked the award. It's messed up. Like, why? And then to date, that $42 billion program, total number of citizens that have received broadband from that $42 billion allocation is 0. Now that's, if you want to see, the $42 billion for 0, I would call that waste. Yeah, that's waste. That is not a good use of money. You know, so there was also a big government initiative, I think $7 billion, something like that, for a nationwide network of electric superchargers. And I think they had made like 10. And I'm like, this is the most egregious waste of money. And there's so many situations like that. So, you know, it just goes like bureaucrats and consultants and nothing gets done. And it's wasting your money, which is crazy. So what I'm saying is like this, there's the opportunity to reduce government waste is actually, I think, easy because there's so much of it. You know, it's not like, they just don't care about your money, which is messed up.
You know, he's very endearing, the way he just, you know, delivers that common sense. Bureaucrats and consultants wasting your money. Yeah. So I once was a bureaucrat many years ago. For about a year and a half, I was a budget analyst for the Environmental Protection Agency in, 1978, 1979? And I can confirm to you that it's bureaucrats and consultants wasting your money. In fact, I was so appalled by it, I swore I would never, ever, ever again work for the federal government. And for good reason. All right, when we come back, we'll be joined by the original All-Star panelist, Crom Carmichael. I'm Michael Patrick Leahy.